25% of all investment is government related and 75% is private. Now 25 companies are in EcoTown and the number of business projects in 27. More than 1,000 people are working there. Kitakyushu EcoTown is approved as the first and the scale is the largest class. I will introduce the features of Kitakyushu EcoTown. These features are factors of success. First, to succeed a recycling business, it is necessary to secure the waste as an entrance, set up the recycling facility, and have a stable destination for the product as exit point. Technology alone is never enough for business. For this reason, the city is taking a wide range of measures, such as steady implementing laws and systems promoting green purchasing and providing one-stop service for administrative procedures. The second is the strategy of promoting environmental industry. We have established three pillars: basic research and human resource development, practical research, and commercialization. We provide support at each stage, such as research grants and providing trades. In order to get understanding and trust of students, we set up the EcoTown Center. The EcoTown Center is a basement for information disclosure and environmental learning. It provides plant tours and explanation by specialist staff. Companies in EcoTown understand the importance of students' understanding and then set plans of factory in EcoTown. Without students' understanding, recycling business could be NIMBY. And also, more understanding of citizens, less waste and used things will be resources. This page is a reference for the location of EcoTown. I believe that all of you here today understand the importance of achieving a circular economy. I also understand that in India, where the forum is taking place today, this energetic and dynamic nation has a zero waste policy. My understanding of this policy is that it aims to establish a recycling-oriented business model for waste management. In this business model, waste is reused as materials and resources. Waste is expected to be valuable. 2 years ago, 2023, the Lamki Group, a leading environmental industry company based in India, had interest in our Kitakyushu EcoTown. They visited and signed a agreement with the city of Kitakyushu to develop the EcoTown project in India. Last year, we started a feasibility study. This study is supported by Japanese Ministry of Environment. In this program, to contribute to the establishment of the circular economy, we, the city of Kitakyushu, hope to achieve the two zeros: zero emission, which is effective use of waste, and zero carbon, which is decarbonization, and grow with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know if you are online with us. Thank you for this enlightening presentation on EcoTowns and the Recycle Complex, and we took note of the cooperation you already have with India, and I'm sure you will learn from each other's best practices. Now, Peter, sorry, we go back to you.
So, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Peter Dolej. Thank you for introducing me. Dear guests, dear hosts, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to have the opportunity to present in front of you the Danish approach how to achieve sustainable wastewater treatment within few decades. Why I'm here? Thanks to Danish Embassy, I was invited to give you a short lecture on wastewater treatment, sustainable wastewater treatment, because I'm working for DHI company, which is a company full of engineers, skilled people who can work with water in all sectors like marine, coastal, water resources, wastewater treatment, collection systems, drinking water supplies, etc. And we use basically modeling for that. Some basic information about the company. It is not that important. The important message is that we are global. We have global knowledge. We are producing projects in all stages, like feasibility studies from the scratch to the really commissioning of the project in more than 100 countries. And we are in person in 26 offices around the globe. And the most important part that we are also here in India. We have here some representatives, our dear colleagues. One is in New Delhi, sitting here, and one in Chennai. So we are really close to you. You can reach us, and we can help you to follow these goals which were introduced this morning. So we are delivering hundreds of projects around the globe, as I said, and thanks to that we are able to really gain knowledge and implement it to another client. Now I will go straight to the message what I'm willing to show here about the sustainable wastewater treatment showcase from Denmark. Denmark did really good job. We have more than 90% of wastewater cleaned by tertiary systems. It means that we remove not only organics and particulate matter, but also nitrogen and phosphorus, like nutrients. And in more than 70% of the treatment plants, we also remove micropollutants. But it didn't come out of the blue. The Danish government recognized this problem actually 50 years ago, and then in 1987 the government action plan for Danish waters was introduced, and then like 20-25 years it took to really deliver the technology on place. And now we are able to operate the treatment plants in an efficient way, and also we are able to convert wastewater treatment plants to wastewater resource recovery plants. It means that we don't only treat water, but we reuse, recycle water, and we also extract energy and nutrients from water. If you look at some numbers, wastewater or water sector at all, in Danish, we are like more than 25% energy self-sufficient. And that's basically thanks to wastewater, because wastewater contains a lot of energy, and we don't look at it as a waste, we look at it as a source. So since we are able to extract from the wastewater, we are able to produce biogas, and then with cogeneration unit we are able to produce energy. I prepared one example, one use case, how we can achieve that. I chose a pretty normal, pretty standard wastewater treatment. Its capacity is 220,000 population equivalent, peak flow more than 1 cubic meter per second. This capacity is quite normal even in this huge country which India is. And the wastewater is quite typical. It's municipal wastewater, no more than 10% comes from industry. And effluent discharge limits are quite strict. in terms of nitrogen below 10 milligrams per liter, in terms of phosphorus below 1 milligrams per liter. If you look at the energy consumption versus energy production, we started to work at this treatment plant more than 10 years ago, and we developed several, or we implemented several technologies on that plant. And from 2012, this plant is more than 100% energy self-sufficient, and actually this is energy producer for that location. How we achieve that? We introduced it advanced control strategy for the aeration. We replaced some machines, some blowers, some components, also dewatering machines, and we implemented the Anamox process for reject sludge water treatment. And it helps more than 1.1 gigawatt hours per year for savings. I will be faster. This is just a scheme how nowadays is working the heat and energy management at the plant. Maybe I can, since I have like 1 minute, I can skip this. How we achieve that? We use knowledge, of course, and digital tools, modeling tools, and now I wanted to say few words about the waste modeling tool, which is software for modeling wastewater treatment plants based libraries. And thanks to that, we were able to, like 7-8 years ago, we were able to develop a digital solution. We call it Twin Plant, which is a digital twin for helping operators to really achieve sustainable wastewater treatment. It has several engines. First is that West as a tool for mathematical modeling. There is cloud system where all the data are stored and managed, and we also implemented artificial intelligence to help us to predict behavior of the plant to the near future. For this time, I want to say one more note. It's for me the first time I'm in India. I really enjoy it. Tomorrow we are going to Coronation Pillar plant. We will have their first feasibility study using West technology, thanks to the funding of Danish Embassy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's go to the last presentation before I will take the time to ask each one of you question for only 2 minutes, because I will have them to bring 6 other people. We cannot have 10 people sitting together here. Otherwise, we could have managed, but we'll handle that. So the next presentation is online in Japanese, and it will be immediately simultaneously translated. Can we get it online? Yes, sir. No, there's another one. Yeah. So can we get the presentation from Japan? You want to speak from here, or you come here?
No, I'll speak from here.
Stay here?
Yeah.
Okay. So it will be delivered in Japanese, but the lady here will make the simultaneous translation.
Okay, so hello everyone. It gives me great pleasure to talk to you about Zama City's food cycle project here today. I am Sato Mito, and I'm the mayor of Zama City, Kanagawa Prefecture in Japan. From here on, I will be referring to the food cycle project as FCP. Firstly, I would like to give you a brief introduction to Zama City. Zama City is located within 40 kilometers of southwest of Tokyo and has developed as a commuter town. And currently we have about 132,000 people living here, and there are 63,000 households in Zama City. As you can see in the diagram, residential land accounts for about half of the land use in the city. Let you know the current state of waste disposal. The percentage of waste processed in Zama City in 2021 is as shown in the figure. If you look at the pie chart on the right, food waste accounts for 34% of combustible waste generated by households. We thought that if we could create a system to recycle this food waste, we could significantly reduce waste. There are several ways, as you can see, of disposing food waste other than incineration, but Zama City has focused on composting, which is something that citizens can easily do at home. And that was the beginning of FCP. The FCP is a 3-year experimental project being carried out from 2022 to 2024 with the cooperation of Oda Q Electric Company and with a partnership agreement with Zama City to promote a circular economy and the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. Each household is asked to compost their food waste, which will be collected by the city and delivered to farmers. The crops produced by the farmers will then be consumed again by the households, and the food waste will be composted again. In other words, a system in which food waste is circulated within the city. Next, we will explain how the FCP works. First, compost bags will be loaned free of charge to 300 households that apply to participate in this system. In order to ensure that the properties of the collected compost are uniform, the compost bags and base materials are loaned out are limited to products made by Local Food Cycling Company Limited. These compost bags are made from recycled materials and have waterproof zippers, so they are less likely to develop odors or attract insects, and also are easy for everyone to use. The 1-year schedule for the FCP is as follows. First, residents put their food waste into the bag type compost for about 3 months. After that, in order to promote the decomposition of the food waste, they stop putting food waste in and instead add water and mix it once or twice a week for a maturing period of about 1 month. The finished compost is then taken to local waste collection points at predefined timings and collected by the city. This cycle is repeated 3 times a year. To make it easier to understand, when it is time to collect the compost, residents are asked to put it into burlap bags before disposing it. These burlap bags also are recycled into biomass fuel after use. The compost collected by the city then moves on to the next process. Some of the compost collected by the city contains compost in which the food waste is not completely decomposed. This is matured further by adding water and mixing before being used for farming. The composition of the matured compost is examined by a specialist institution, and the compost is then provided to farmers who cooperate with FCP to use in crop production. The potatoes on the left of the photo are produced using food waste compost. The farmers were pleased to say that they were able to harvest more potatoes using the food waste compost than with the compost they usually use. The potatoes were then sold to FCP participants who were able to enjoy them all over again at their family dinner tables. In this way, a system of food circulation was created. The results of the FCP over the past 3 years are shown in the table below. Over the 3 years, 625 households participated, and about 10 tons of food waste was transformed into 2.8 tons of compost. Participants also commented that this was a good initiative. And finally, I would like to talk about the features and also the future of FCP. Through food circulation, FCP is an initiative that benefits all stakeholders and people involved, citizens, farmers, and local governments. Another feature of this initiative is that it was made possible only through cooperation from people in various positions, including companies, citizens, and local governments. Based on the results of the demonstration over the last 3 years, Sama City is keen to look into the possibility of making FCP a sustainable initiative that more people can get involved in. Thank you, everyone, for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing this very interesting multi-stakeholder initiative related to food. Before moving to the panel, I would just take time for 2 minutes each for the person who are here in the room with me. Because I cannot, as I said, have the 10 person here. So I will start as we start with the order. Mr. Mishra, you referred strongly to the regulatory reform and the EPR. How much will this be implemented? Because I know that it's in the process. And what will be the role of the interministerial consultation with that, because it concerns more than one ministry?
Thank you. EPRs are already in the process of implementation. For example, in case of tire waste, we have already implemented the EPR, and it is successfully running. The portal is in operation. The EPR credits are being sold and purchased. A trading platform will be coming soon. And last year, about 80 to 90% compliance was there. And even in case of e-waste and plastic waste also, we are in the process of implementation. In other sectors, our Ministry of Environment is not only making the rules and just let it go, but we are also following it up whether that it is implemented it is actually implemented to the grassroots level. For that, our regulatory bodies like CPC, Central Pollution Control Board, State Pollution Control Board, and other state governments, other ministries are also roped in. And as you told about the interministerial consultation, these rules were brought after a wide consultation with all the ministries. It is not that we just drafted the rules, not only with other ministries, but also with the industry, with the public, with the other stakeholders, with the recyclers, with the producers, and there was a process of consultation. Even today also, for example, if we are in the process of bringing the scrap metals EPR rules, so we are consulting all the concerned ministries, Ministry of Steel, the Ministry of Heavy Industries, and the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, because they manage the city's infrastructure. So it is, I can say on both counts that this will be, we hope and we expect and we are sure that it will be implemented certainly and very soon, all the rules. And as I told that in some sectors it has been implemented, and the interministerial consultation is very important part of not only drafting stage but in the implementation stage also.
Would you expect in your context an improvement or an acceleration thanks to the digital technologies and artificial intelligence and how it will work?
Of course, actually that is a very basic premise of our all EPR rules. These EPR rules are implemented through an online digital platform. So all the compliances, all the information, even audit, even the penalty for violation, all are implemented through the digital platform and our online platform managed by our Central Pollution Control Board. And obviously, of course, we will take help of AI, artificial intelligence, as and when required, and we are in the process of that.
Thank you very much. Melissa, I highlighted when you make a presentation the issue of transitioning to sustainability, which is something that mostly government and private sector at the time don't give it the right attention because they don't factor in the transition. So how from your research countries and the to effectively factor in transition, and what will be the challenges?
Thank you. Thank you. That's a great question. I think I'll make 3 points. So on the first point, I think we're already going in the right direction. So when we think about policy development, particularly in this part of the world, under the circular economy wider umbrella, waste management included, we've seen the single-use plastics bans. Second wave is usually the extended producer responsibility policies. Then we have some of the governments creating circular roadmaps. The really good next step that is sort of just starting to happen is the sector circularity roadmaps. So it's very good to have an overall circularity vision, but without the sector planning, it's very difficult to implement. So that's one piece I think that actually is already happening quite well, obviously at differing levels in the region depending on maturity. The second piece, so commenting a little bit on some of the sustainability regulations that have been announced or are coming from Europe, a lot of those are very interesting and they impact our region. However, and we're seeing, with some of the rollbacks in the omnibus, that the ability for businesses to respond to such a drastic, sudden change can be very, very challenging. And that's not to say these regulations shouldn't happen. I'm a big fan. But what I see in my work is, for instance, we have an announcement about upcoming eco-design for sustainable products regulation. I'll work with our country offices in Europe who have perhaps a multinational headquarters supply chain over in Southeast Asia, as an example. And the buyer asks the supplier, suddenly, recycled plastic or bio-based plastic. The supplier doesn't necessarily know how to respond to this because they don't have access to those materials, or the materials are 20 to 30% more expensive. So I guess on that point, I think really thinking through the value chain of products and whether it's, within a country or within a region or across two regions, having that dialogue from your buyer to supplier and really supporting the suppliers to transition, because just asking them to do something from day to night is a very, very tough ask. And then I think the third point is around financing. So going back to my last slide on, the price of solar panels coming down, that was really induced in the first instance by grants, subsidies, high feed-in tariffs. So there's a lot of stuff that government can do to kind of signal the market and incentivize the market. And then at a certain point, the market takes over because it feels like it has the confidence enough to invest there. There are, as I'm sure many of you know, some boutique circular economy funds that invest, just in that space. But for the most part, the banks or the larger hedge funds, are a little bit more cautious. And that has to do with a lack of harmonized standards, understanding what is circular, but also having the track record that a circular project will be profitable. And really the role that governments and donors can do is fill that gap in the interim, signal the market, stimulate the innovation, and then things will flow.
Thank you very much. Peter, I will be asking you a question I have been raising several times in my long UN career, that you have been facing in the negotiation all the time. When a European country, a well-advanced one, come and present their case and so on, and they say, okay, thank you very much, but your context is very different from my context. What lessons, how can we apply what you have done in your context and adjust it to our context? So from Denmark to India, if we are in India, of course, but to other countries, what lessons and how to proceed in order to learn from what Denmark did and how to accelerate that?
Thank you, Raj, for this question. I think it can be really simple because your wastewater is exactly the same, almost the same like our wastewater. We all going to toilet, we all have some kitchen waste and this stuff. It's end up one day in wastewater. And we all are using the same technology which was discovered more than 100 years ago. It's activity sludge process from UK. So the same bacteria, the same input, and almost the same discharge limits, or you need almost the same discharge limits because you are using this water for a source for drinking water. So there are no limits to adapt the technology what we are using to adapt it here. The only thing is that Southern Europe, they are facing water scarcity, so that's why they were forced by governments. So what could help here, legislation, like strict rules that you need to at least several % of water needs to be recycled. It also helps in, I'm from Czech Republic, I'm not from Denmark, but what helps nowadays in European Union, new urban wastewater treatment directive was signed. It's a total game changer because we will need to implement several technologies which are even for us really costly to operate. But we will need to do that because of legislation.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. We have to move to the panel. Thank you very much. You stay with us. The chair stays with us. You want to take a picture? Okay. Take a picture and then we will. Huh? Yeah. Okay. Just take a picture and then we call this one up. That's fine. That's fine. I'll call you back after for the last session, for the last picture. Can I call, please, the colleagues who are on the panel? I understood that one of them might not be here, but still I will call them all 6, and please come and join us on the stage. Starting with His Excellency Mr. Ahmed Nizam, Deputy Minister, Minister of Climate Change, Environment and Energy, the Government of the Maldives. Mr. Ahmed Nizam. Mr. Ahmed Nizam. Okay. Then we have Mrs. Perpetua Election Latasi, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Home Affairs, Climate Change and Environment from Tuvalu. If you can please join us. Okay. Apparently we'll have a very short panel among us. Mr. Tri Supondi, the Director General of Industrial Resilience, Region International Industrial Access, Minister of Industry, Indonesia. In the room? Yes? No? Okay. I could have left the people here. I had a long discussion with them. Dr. Jaraj Patak, Director General, All India Institute of Local Self-Government. Perfect, we have one. Great. Then Mr. Padma Kumar Mainale, Joint Secretary, Urban Development Division, Minister of Urban Development, Government of Nepal. Excellent, thank you. And Mrs. Parul Agarwal, Country Program Manager in the UN Habitat. Perfect. So, can I recall the other ones, or if somebody can see if they are in the corridor somewhere? Mr. Tri Supondi, Mrs. Perpetua Election Latazi from Tuvalu. I have seen her earlier here. And Mr. Ahmed Nizam, he was with us in a previous panel here. Ahmed Nizam, Deputy Minister of Climate Change Energy from the Maldives. No? No. Okay. We move with that, and we'll do our best to take more questions, if you don't mind. Okay. So, the focus here is about, yes. No. My time is until 4:15. Okay? I will respect my time at 4:15. If we can go with that, I'll do it. Sorry, I'll try to catch up, but I cannot cut it. Okay, so as you know, the session is really advancing circularity, circular economy, and we are into at city level, cities and communities. This is our focus here. And for that, I would like to start by asking now whom we have here. We have Pathak, Padma, and Paral. Yes, not because I have allocated already question to different speakers to review my thing. So, Althea, Nepal, and Yuan. Let's go with there are usually important challenges. Wherever you want. Yes, that's fine. That's fine? Okay. So I'm not taking it in order. I'm just for the question, and because I prefer government, business, local committees, and so on. So from the perspective of a government working yourself on the urban development, what will be the main challenges that the cities are facing in transitioning? I was raising the issue of transitioning from linear to circular economy. And as I had in my introduction, there are the best places where we implement circular economy. Easy to say, difficult to implement. What are the challenges and how we can move ahead on that? Please, you have 2-3 minutes on that. I can come with another question.
Thank you for the question. I think this is the best question to ask to me because I'm actually facing this all the challenges. But from the previous presentations, I really recognize 2-3 things. Actually, number one is we have a contradiction of big versus small. Let's say, I mean, we need a big, the markets and all kind of, the resources to really have, the more sustainable circular economy kind of approaches. But the smallers are, really doing the things better. In our case, I really want to focus on one of the examples that the Dharan municipality is doing in a very smaller area and the production of waste is also very small. But when we go to the capital city and say asking for the public sector, private sector, they are asking for the big waste to really start with. So that's the one contradiction that I'm actually finding the thing. The policy versus practice. We really see there is a very good policy to attract to really move to the circular economy, but we have to see how these practices are making us. In a real desired direction. So that's the second one. In this area, we really say we have opened the policy kind of things, but the policy would not make everything happen in a similar or simpler way. But we should really intervene in practice, so that practice makes very simpler one, and so that people can really move on. And the third one is more like we call up. More like in technology and saying that, see, this technology is more efficient than others. But when you do not mobilize the community and the people, as the case of Japan as already illustrated on that, then we cannot really succeed the things. And if I see from a government point of view, I see the institutional and technological support is also a major part to tackle on. And then the morning examples was there to really see the behavioral kind of things. Indoor case was also very exemplary on that. If we do not encourage people for behavioral change, then we cannot actually make the positive direction on. That's the first things. The major thing is big versus the small, practice versus policy, and technology versus the community and community practice. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ahmed Nazim, you just came in, but because the question are related, you represent the government. I'm aware that there is a big challenge for the plastics in the Maldives. I've been myself leading one of the projects there. Can you tell us how the government at different levels, local, national, international, collaborate together to ensure that the cities are effectively integrating circularity in their approach, and how you can take the example of the plastic, which I know is a top issue in your country.
Okay, thank you so much. When government at different levels, like when you take the...
But water, I would say that there is unnecessary tendency to copy others because for them the solutions appear better. Like for example, in Mumbai city, the natural gravity, water coming by gravity costs only $0.25 per 1,000 liters. Recycled water will cost about $0.50 per 1,000 liters, while desalination of water costs about $1 per 1,000 liters. Even then the previous government, largely for political reasons, that since the trees were not to be cut to oppose the metro in Mumbai, they wanted desalination of water in preference to getting water from dams, which will involve cutting of trees. That was an irrational decision. So now the trees were cut and the metro will be completed and more number of trees will be. For example, in Israel or even city of Chennai, if they require desalination of water, that doesn't mean every city in India desalination will be necessary or advisable. So that is wherever water is quite cheap coming by the natural way, it is not at all necessary to go for desalination or for recycling. Singapore recycling became necessary because the Malaysian government increased the water costs. As far as the plastics are concerned, one innovative solution was found in the Pimpri-Chinchwad Municipal Corporation, which is industrial suburb of Pune. The innovative municipal commissioner said that if the rack pickers give 5 plastic bottles, they will get a tea coupon where they can have their tea. And if they get 10 plastic bottles, they will get a coupon for vada pav. Vada pav is a kind of hamburger with potato filling. So this was quite innovative, and a lot of plastic bottles which would have been otherwise gone into wastage came back to the municipal corporation, which could reprocess them and convert the plastic into reusable form later. About the solid waste segregation, Panji Municipal Council in Goa has done very significant work. They don't have any landfill. And segregated wastes are sold and they make money out of it. It is of course a very small municipality with 50,000 population. 16-way segregation in 16 different components is made by about 20%, and 3-way segregation by the others. And as research in solar has now made solar power competitive, I wish, or I'm quite certain that over the next decade, maybe recycling and desalination will also be economically viable for more cities, and we will be able to conserve more of our water. The IT platforms, of course, are used to a great extent because whatever research or experience is there in one municipality, it is put on the web. It reaches other municipalities, often through the state governments, and people learn from each other to follow each other's solutions, which are better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me now turn to Mrs. Parul Agarwal from UN Habitat. Being the custodians of SDG 11, as other UN agencies, but you are leading it. I wish to ask you what policies intervention are necessary to integrate circular economy into urban planning, in order to make those cities leading by example, driving the process, and how to collaborate between the different levels. You are intergovernmental, you have the cities, you have local government, big challenge. Can you enlighten us on that?
Yes. No, very, very relevant. I think first I would like to point out that in the context of the progress on SDG 11, while a lot of positive impact has been made, there is an urgency to recognize that some of the SDG targets are actually, we are regressing, specifically around those on climate, and in some other areas around housing, around transportation, mobility, and inclusive access to all these, targets, there is a stagnation. So on SDGs, that would be my, concern to raise in front of the audience that we need to look at fast track, accelerate SDGs. On this aspect of circularity, I think a lot of discussion has been made that the transition is not easy. It's, it will require a paradigm shift. We have seen that already occurring. One of the SDG 11 targets is actually on the process of planning, on process of engaging with communities, on the process of participation, and I think that's an area that can be emphasized. You have already spoken about it, Mr. Mente. And what do I mean by that? I mean, there is consensus across the board that we need a whole of society, whole of government approach in making meaningful impact, which also means that every stakeholder segment must have a clear-cut role defined. To give an example here, we are working on looking at anchoring a plastic upcycling facility, a small MSME, and look and in that perspective, in that ecosystem where we have spoken about decentralization as possibly a pathway to respond in a larger scale or to replicate in scale. The role of communities is not just from an advocacy of behavior point of view, but it is also as making the communities entrepreneurs. How do we engage self-help groups in the formal processes of city governance, of city management, not just engaging them for their grievance redressal or for mining ideas, but to really bring them on board as co-implementers and co-designers of projects. And that is the paradigm shift and nudge that we need to make when it comes to really reshaping the thinking of bringing more stakeholders, not just the private sector, the communities in being the actual implementers. The second bit is, I think again, another emphasis needs to be made on how there is still a lot of inertia around changes that need to be made in terms of governance, the procurement procedures, the regulatory norms, changes that would be required to shift towards circularity for better adoption of newer methods of practices. The way the PPP models are built, those transactions are currently constructed. Those need to be reshaped, and that is the onus of the government entities to make sure that they are up to speed with the pilot projects, with the innovations that agencies like UN and other donors are doing at a smaller scale to show that it's something, a new idea is viable. But then to scale it up, we need that institutional reform, and that inertia, that friction needs to be overcome at a much faster scale than where we are right now. And lastly, you mentioned the multi-level governance approach. I think again, when it comes to the looking at a city from a whole low cost, low carbon perspective, we tend to again go back in a very sectoral approach, need to have a multi-sectoral and integrated lens to be really able to make a dent into the way the cities can actually become green and carbon neutral.
Thank you very much. You keep the micro, so I'll do the turn with you. We'll keep with you. Let's start with you.
Okay.
The Secretary General has said very clearly that climate change can only be implemented and first at city level, otherwise it will not happen. So let me now turn to the climate change issue. What type of innovation from a UN agency do you expect at city level to tackle with the climate change issue? And I will ask each one of the other colleagues if they can give a success story, a lesson that you have in your respective programs, a success story on dealing with climate at the city level. Please.
I think so. I can share an example from the work that we have been doing in India, and a lot of my partners, agencies here are, also engaged. At the city level, there is a shift towards looking at, questioning the traditional investments that were going into grey infrastructure. So the cities are looking into the infrastructure as a full system. They are questioning how we are designing our storm drains to respond to urban water and what can be done to bring in more ecological, natural elements into this whole, into that whole infrastructure system design, so that it becomes truly hybrid. Discussions around sponge cities, greening the cities, improving the permeability. So I do see that a shift that is, happening. I think I remember MOEFCC had also, planned this One City, One Forest initiative, and I think that is something that every city must invest in. Bring a big, a green heart to every city, the green lung space, which can serve, which can have so much multifunctional aspects. So cities are moving in that direction. I think we need to support them by bringing in the right types of governance frameworks. Again, a lot of times the problem is on how do you then do the procurement processes, what type of technical standards, harmonization was something that was spoken about earlier, that can be brought on the table so that everybody can convene and coalesce around the same idea.
Thank you very much. Nepal, Mr. Palma Kumar, can you give us an innovative success story?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, but I would now would like to highlight some formal sector and informal sector, and their contributions too. We call, a lot of things that formal sector is recorded, but when you see the contribution of informal sector, that's also a very important in our case. One agency, simply started, very informally first. We call it a Khali CC. That means in English is empty bottles. Starting with empty bottles, created a lot of resources on that. That's a very good example, even within the capital city itself, right? So that's the first case. And secondly, the same like contributions has made from the informal sector with some of the innovative youngs, using the Toku system and all kind of very catchy words to community all the way. Second one is more like on using resources, biodegradable things, using, fertilizers and all kind of CNGs and using segregation to resources. That's also a very good case studies in one of the city in eastern part. And many of around 10 cities used as planning, risk sensitivity styles, using this risk sensitive means for using the plannings. And so that could also be a land use cases. So these are three basic, good, success stories in our case. But when we started federalism 10 years ago, the real collaborations happens, in some of the city clusters. One best example could be the capital city itself, but other cities are also doing on that. So collaborations and formal to informal sector, and using land sensitivity as a planning are some of the success stories happened in.
Thank you very much. Dr. Jaresh Pathak, can you share with us some innovative success stories? And we accompany them.
Well, as far as climate action is concerned, there are two parts. One is pollution, the other is temperature increase. Well, in North India, particularly Delhi and surrounding regions, this problem of pollution is being felt particularly in winter. But this year it was felt even in city of Mumbai. So there was a total and complete ban on the construction of new buildings, and constructions were stopped. I don't know whether it is a solution which can be repeated, but it was necessary. Green buildings and green companies are two areas in which the state government as well as the local body are giving various incentives. But I would still say that the impact is not very large, and the number of buildings which could be called green buildings and companies which could be called green companies is still quite small.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ahmed Nizam, can you share with us some innovative success stories related to climate and cities?
From the Maldives, right? It's a bit difficult actually because we don't have so many success stories in this area because it's only very recently that we started our journey to actually move from a linear to a circular economy, and then I couldn't actually think of any great success stories to share. But of course, there are some things we have started doing well, like managing our waste, and then let's say by managing organic waste, we produce.
And these are frankly quite mature technologies, and we have been offering, like other companies, these solutions for decades now. They have been proven, they have been in operation, and we have the scale to be able to confidently claim that we know how to implement this solution for specific customized requirements. But the idea is to make a transition, a philosophical transition, which is that if you see the traditional recycling methods or waste to energy as a solution, they typically are looking at the philosophy of processing and disposal. Whenever we address waste, we say we need to scientifically process waste. We need to dispose waste in an environmentally friendly manner. We are here to tell you that there is something beyond this, which is to transition from processing and disposal to utilization. We're going to look at waste and the hydrocarbon. We're going to look at unlocking the value of this hydrocarbon in the waste to utilize it. And that is where solutions like waste to chemical and CCUS comes into the play. Let's see how we do that. If you look at waste to energy, JFE as a group has been offering this solution since 1968. So we have a little over half a century of experience. And in this period, we have established over 260 waste to energy plants across the globe. Our recent plant, the latest one, has been in Vietnam. Now, the heart of the solution for any waste to energy plant that JFE offers
अभी जयपुर हेरिटेज नगर निगम में लांगड़ियावास में कई प्रोजेक्ट चल रहे हैं, सेवापुरा में भी प्रोजेक्ट चल रहे हैं, हमारे यहाँ मथुरादासपुरा में भी प्रोजेक्ट चल रहे हैं, जिससे हम वेस्ट टू एनर्जी, कचरे से बिजली बनाने का काम हमारे यहाँ शुरू हो गया है। हमारे जयपुर शहर में 1700 से 2000 टन मैट्रिक टन कचरा निकलता है, जिससे जो हमारा वेस्ट टू एनर्जी प्लांट है वहाँ लगभग 1000 मैट्रिक टन कचरा हम वहाँ यूज करके उससे बिजली बनाने का काम हमने शुरू कर दिया है। हमारे यहाँ सीवर ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट से जो पेड़ पौधे हैं, जो हमारे यहाँ के गार्डन्स हैं, उनमें पानी दिया जाता है ताकि हम पानी को बचा सके। देखिए, अभी सौम्या जी बता रही थी कि हमारी जो संस्कृति है उसमें शुरू से ही जो हमारी चीजें वेस्ट होती है उनका रीयूज करने
point in time. I think today at an inflection point where the globe is again reconverging around cities, and therefore I think it's a very exciting point at which we are now standing. All of us are contributing to that effort to re-energize the national economy, re-energize the global economy around the power that the cities have to innovate, to also accelerate.
Thank you to the session chair, the moderator, and the panelists. Before we begin the next session, I would like to make an announcement for tomorrow's parallel country breakout session from 12 p.m. to 1:15 p.m. The country groups and the venues will be displayed on the screen. I request the countries who have not shared their presentation to please do so with the 3R Secretariat. The email address is mentioned on the slide. Please also carry a copy of the presentation tomorrow as well. Thank you. We will now move to the plenary session 3, Circular Economy Policies, Translating Global Vision into Local Actions. For this, I would like to invite Shri Rajesh Yadav, Principal Secretary, Government of Rajasthan, to be the session chair. I also invite Professor Yong Chul Jang, Department of Environmental Engineering, Chungnam National University, Republic of Korea, to kindly felicitate and be the facilitator and moderator of this session.